Demon Slayer Kimetsu Demon Slayer Demon Slayer Infinity Castle arc basically is all about majorly three battles, even in the movie itself. So I must say that because this is like anime, I've never actually watched the previous arcs of the anime, so I don't really know the origin stories of the characters, but going to tell you exactly what happened in the movie, okay? Now, the first like 30 minutes of the sequences were just about fighting. We see a bunch of characters fighting demons, it's just chaos, and nothing really major happens. Now, just around the first 30 minutes ending, we see a character known as Doma is fighting with a character called, I believe, Shinobu. Now we see Shinobu's origin story as she comes to vengeance for the death of a sister, Kanao. Kanao is like a flower type of dancing demon slayer. So Kanao is killed by Doma. So obviously Shinobu comes for vengeance to kill him. Now Shinobu puts up a very great fight. She's an insect demon slayer. She can fight with insect dances, centipedes. She employs a bunch of techniques to kind of win. But she dies at the end. Even the battle spans almost 30 minutes of fighting. Lots of good sequences, and the animators did great. But at the end of the day, she is killed by Doma and reabsorbed or absorbed by Doma. Inside Doma, she tries to again kill Doma from the inside, but she's too weak as she's already becoming part of him. She's already becoming absorbed. Okay. Now a bunch of birds carrying some symbols, which you later are told are the Demon Slayer core symbols. They're like announcers, if you will. They announce the death of Shinobu to everybody in the Infinity Castle. It's called Infinity Castle because it just keeps expanding. There's no end and there's no beginning. Now, obviously, Tajiro, who seemed to have, or from what we were shown, seems to have some feelings for Shinobu, is heartbroken. Now, that was the first main battle, right? And leads to what? Shinobu's death. Now, the second main battle occurs between, I believe his name was Agatsuma. The first name, yeah, Zenotsu Agatsuma and his brother Kaigaku, I think. I'm not murdering the name, I'm sorry. So, essentially, we see the origin story is that these two are adopted brothers. Zenitsu is the younger one, and Kaigaku is the older one. Now, in the Demon Slayer universe, every family has what I call them now, skills, certain skills that they're able to do. Now, we see that Zenitsu's actual grandfather is, the trainer or the sensei for both Zenitsu and Kaigaku. Now, I do not know if it occurs in basically every adopted family, but I think Kaigaku felt like he wasn't loved enough by Gramps. So in that way, he just always hated Zenitsu, like the whole Cain and Abel story, where Cain hated Abel because he felt like God loved Abel more. In that same sense, so Zenitsu got more love from Gramps, while Kaigaku felt like Zenitsu was a burden and hated Zenitsu because he was loved. Now, at the end of the day, at Gramps' death, obviously, there's supposed to be a successor for the family, the head of the family. Now, it's supposed to usually be one person, but, well, Zenitsu's grandfather decides that both Zenitsu and Kaigaku should rule together. Now, note that Kaigaku is the older brother. Even though he's adopted, he's still the older brother. And that doesn't really go well with him, seeing that he now has to share a power that he thinks should belong to only him with his younger brother, his younger adoptive brother. Keep in mind that he already hates this person and he already has some jealousy for this person. So it was basically easy for him to just turn demon and just accept being a demon, okay? Now he does so. Thus, why they're fighting against each other now. Now, Zenitsu gives Kaigaku multiple chances to come clean and decide to accept him or try to be better or say that he wanted to change or, be family or something. But all chances were wasted as Kaigaku decided that he was obviously he was more powerful. I think it was the sixth form. He was more powerful, sixth form of demon. So like demon rank, there is Muzan, which I believe is the most powerful demon, and there's a second rank, and I think the second rank is Doma, who killed Shinobu. There's a third rank, Akazan, we'll come to that, and I believe there is other ranks, but before we now get to Kaigaku. Now Kaigaku is very powerful. Obviously, he could have killed Zenitsu, but we learned that since he's just quote-unquote a newly formed demon, he has not mastered his abilities as much. So at the end of the day, Zenitsu does such a great job and finally hands his adopted brother, ends by slicing the neck off. Clean slice. He wins. Everybody's happy. Yay, good wins. Now, the same birds also go around to announce to everybody, obviously, that, Kagaku, aka the upper six, is dead, has been murdered by Zenitsu. Yay, everybody's happy. Now, before we could even breathe a hair of relief, we see Taijiro and what's his name again? Gyusan. They are running, and the building, the Infinity Castle, seems to have this hatred for them together. It tries multiply to split them apart, either by bringing holes whatever Taijiro was walking, or bringing some confusion, distraction to make sure that they were separated. But through it all, they fought together and they were still together. Now, finally, they were met by Akasan. Now, Akasan is, how will I describe it now? He's, as I said, the third highest demon rank order. So he's very powerful. He's super strong. And we know from what was said in the movie that he has actually killed one very powerful demon slayer in probably another arc of the Demon Slayer universe, okay? Now, simply put, we get to see Akasan fight Gyusan for like almost 30 minutes or over 30 minutes, and the sequences are amazing. There is, water forms, water dances, there is death dance, death slayer dance or something. I don't know, but death possession, I think that's what Akasan called it. There's lots of those. Eventually, they both are not like lethally harmed or fatally harmed. They're able to still stand in. Even though Akasan seemed to be improving with every fight and every blow, it seemed more like he was just testing Gyusan for like majority of the sequences. Now, when he finally decided to step his game up and finally end Gyusan, then we see Tajiro seemingly awaken something in himself. Like, obviously, initially in the beginning of the battle, he wasn't, he wasn't the strongest. He wasn't even strong. Let me use the term strongest. He wasn't even strong. He was just basically able to defend himself, basically. Now, when the battle between Gyusan and Akasan happens, he seems to be transported to a memory as he tries to figure out how Akasan is able to dodge or maneuver himself out of every attack thrown by Gyusan, because it seems like he's able to predict it before it even happens. Now, he goes back to a memory of his own about his own father. So in a way, we see his origin story. We see his dad, who is slightly weak, not that he's actually weak, but from what was said, he has suffered the impact of using the water form or the dances or the powers that he has over time. Now we see his dad take him one time at night to go up a mountain and kill a bear. Now the bear was coming towards their house, and it probably would have killed them in their sleep if the dad hadn't killed it very first. So it was not really the killing of the bear that mattered. It was the way his dad killed the bear. Now his dad seemingly did not even move, but the bear just was slit half. Like the head was chopped clean off, and it was on the floor. But he knew that even in the slight, just before he blinked, he saw his dad move twice. But it was less than a second, and you would not even notice it. So he thought that his dad must have been able to do something so spectacular that even the bear or even him did not even notice. Now, we end up being told that, obviously, because most of the movie is narrated by thoughts, so we see the characters, or we hear the characters talking in their heads, as well as see them talking to their mouths, but mostly their thoughts. Now, we see him thinking about how his dad had told him that there was another realm, a transparent realm, or the ultra realm, if you want to call it that, where you could ultimately move without being disturbed by time. Like, you could see, predict, beat your enemy in your own game. You could see whatever your enemy was thinking of, whatever evil intent, good intent, anything. Remember that Tajiro's initial powers allow him to detect a person's emotions by smell. Now, coupled with this power, he was able to help Gyusan defeat Akasan. Now, fortunately, he slices the neck of Akasan, but unfortunately, that did not do much. Akasan did not die, okay? So, Akasan just regenerated his neck up, and, well, he just continued fighting. That was not enough. But before he was able to even get to continuing fighting, thankfully, Gyusan was able to just cut the neck off again, and the neck this time fell off. Now, one would think that, as with all demons or vampires in the sense, because considering most demons are scared of light and they have sharp fangs, it definitely gives them that vampire type skill or vampire type rank. They're afraid of sunlight, obviously, so that makes sense. Now, One would think that just cutting off his head would have killed it, but Akasan did not die after his neck was cut off. Instead, the body rose, and what brought fear to Gyusan and Tajiro was that Tajiro was now weaker. He wasn't able to move like initially. He was obviously the transparent realm or the ultra realm takes a lot of energy from a person, so that he was weak. Now, when I mean weak, not that he wasn't able to move, but it wasn't like he was having blurry visions, and obviously head was hurting. It takes a lot of energy to do certain things. Okay, now Akasan's body now, just apart from the head and neck, which have been chopped clean off, stand up, and for some reason, I don't know if the writer failed to notice that he doesn't have an ear, and without an ear, without a brain, I don't know how he's able to respond, but he seemed to have been able to gain some higher power after his neck was cut off, and he was regenerating his whole head again. Now, the process was not as fast as he would have done it, if he was just like an arm or a leg or just part of the face. So it took a lot more time. Now, in this, he was still fighting he was still fighting Gyusan and Tanjiro. Now, Tanjiro decided that, if he wanted to be of any help, he had to protect Gyusan from being killed. Now, before that even happens, we see Akasan have what I call it now, a backdrop story. Now we see his backdrop story in before he decides to kill or try to kill Gyusan in this penultimate attack. We see that he sees a woman who begs him to stop, that this was enough. Now he's trying to ask who the person is, as the person seems to know him, but he doesn't seem to know the person. Now we see that the backdrop story of this whole thing starts when he's about 11 years old. He's a thief, trying to steal because he's poor to help his dad, who is sick and dying because he eventually does die by his own hand. The dad committed suicide out of the burden he was providing to his son, aka Akasan. Then he wasn't called Akasan. I think his name was called Hajiki or Jiku or something, but that was an H. So he felt guilty, but not because he couldn't take off his dad, right? He felt guilty because he felt like it was unfair that he was born poor, and it was unfair that the poor were not allowed to fend, quote unquote, for themselves. And by fending, I mean steal. So you get it. Now, he's beaten and tortured lots of times by the magistrates to kind of get him off stealing, but, well, obviously that did not work. Now, eventually, after his father's death, he decides to try to become stronger, which was the whole point of everything he was doing, to become stronger. Now, he tries to go after those who, he wants to steal something from and beat them up. Even without a weapon, he does all that. And there he's met up by this man who is not a samurai, but he's a judoist. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but he can fight. So I think his technique, what they called it in the movie, was Soru, or Soju, Soryu. Now, this man decides to pummel Hajiku, now not yet Akasan, into submission so that he can finally listen, and then he takes him to his house. There at his house, he shows him his daughter and tells him to help take care of his daughter. Now the times pass, we see that the man eventually offers his daughter's hand in marriage to Hajiku, now not Akasan yet. So obviously everything goes well. He is super happy, he is in love with the girl loves him back, and he promises to always protect her. Now, let's just say a couple of days before the wedding, he decides to go meet his dad. Meet his dad because his dad is dead now, to go pay some respect to his dad's grave and tell his dad about his progress, considering it's been years now. The movie is shot in sequences, so they don't really tell you how long, but according to him, it's been 3 to 4 years since, his dad's death and, being adopted by this man and meeting this girl and everything else. Now he's 18 years old, he's about to get married, so he texts him his dad and is like, oh God, telling his dad that he's finally living the honest life, he's trying to do better, and his dad will be proud of him, and he's, for a long time, he's now finally at peace. He's finally not trying to be stronger, he's just happy where he is, and he's trying to protect those that he loves without actually stealing or doing anything wrong with crimes or anything like that. Now, we soon learn that before he gets home, the man, that's his adopted father, and the bride to be were quote unquote poisoned by with well water by some nearby samurais who felt jealous because this man's dojo should not be there. They were jealous that The man was not a samurai. Even though he could fight, he did not use a sword. So obviously jealousy was the whole big point. So they poisoned him because they knew that he couldn't fight him directly. So they poisoned him and his daughter, and they both died. Now, in the pain and other, shame and loss of love and whatever he lost in that whole thing, he just felt like he failed both his parents as father now and the woman he loves, this adopted father, like this whole new life. He was about to go clean. So he felt like he, did something wrong. So he decided that the only way that he could be better was to get stronger. And he did that, eventually becoming a demon, eventually getting all the way to this point. Now, in that slight moment, he's also seeing a vision of, I believe, Muzan, who warns him that the reason why he became a vampire, sorry, a demon in the first place, was because he wanted to be stronger, to fight against people who were quote unquote oppressive. He wanted the weak to be rid from society because he felt like the weak were the problem of society, not forgetting that, okay, actually forgetting that he once protected the weak father that he had and the weak girl who eventually became his bride to be. Now, before Muzan's words could even stick, he also gets another vision from his father who tells him that he's super proud of him and he loves him super much and he's welcome. And it seems more like he's in another realm in the sense that he's ready to just leave the whole life and just quote unquote ascend to the spirit realm. Spirit realm, like, when some people say that when you die, you go to the spirit realm. I don't care, but he is seemingly ready for that. And he's seeing visions of his father, visions of the girl he loved, visions of the man, his adopted father, and everything just seems peaceful for him. He feels grateful, he feels happy. And all this is sensed by Tajiro, who feels a bit confused because he doesn't even know what's going on. But eventually, it wasn't Tajiro or Gyusan that decides to kill or that finally lands the final blow to Akasan. It was Akasan himself who finally let go of the need for vengeance, the need to get stronger. And eventually, self-destruct. Spirit was gone, and that was it. And essentially, the movie ends with us seeing the scenes of what's her name again? I don't remember her name. I'm gonna put a picture here, and someone else too. I can't remember their names because obviously I'm new to this whole anime universe. And yeah, they're running, and they're super proud that obviously Akasan is down. Obviously, he's number 3. He's super strong, and everybody's happy. Obviously, that didn't come to be until we see Muzan and Doma, who realize also that Akasan has been dead. And Doma feels excited that Akasan is dead. He doesn't even care. While Muzan, on the other hand, feels annoyed. He feels like, Akasan betrayed him in the sense that he feels that Akasan must have been ungrateful. He got so much power but didn't use it right. So yeah, that's it. It was a great movie. I summarized it, so I don't think you need to watch it. But if you want to watch it, be my guest.